Welcome to another episode of Bucket List Coach Web Show Live. This is Cindy, Aviation and Bucket List Coach, podcast host. Yep, I'm back rocking and rolling. Thank you to Robin Stern to take over the show the last month. And it's amazing today. We have Dick closing out the month, National Aviation History Month. Stay tuned. Check out this video.
All right. Wow. Excuse me while I get myself together here. Ooh, man, that is some great footage right there. Guys, I got to tell you, this is going to be a great show. My name is Robin Stern. I am your Google guru, currently doing my very best to fill the seat of Cindy Lee and help her out this month during National Aviation History Month. I am also your Google guru, your executive director of Be Better, Not Bitter, a nonprofit based out of Dallas, Georgia. And this is the National Month of Giving. So if you need to get rid of some of that money besides giving it to the IRS, find a good charity organization, a 501c3. They could use it and they will make good use of it to do great things in your community. So today we're going to have a great time. I need you to make sure you subscribe to the Bucket List Coach Web Show YouTube channel. You will get a free ebook that will tell you how to create your own bucket list. All right. We got an unbelievable, exciting schedule for the April cruise. Cindy cut out the information about it because guess what? It's almost filled up, folks. If you want to know about the cruise coming up in April of 2023, you need to go to mexicobucketlistcruise.com. That's mexicobucketlistcruise.com, or hit any of Cindy's pages. She'll tell you all about it. All right. Today, we're going to be celebrating Aviation History Month with Dick Napinski, and he is in Oshkosh, bagosh. But we got to give a quick little update on Cindy, our founder of the Bucket List Coach Web Show. She was born and raised in Northern California. Then she moved to Southern California, and that whole thing going on at Travis Air Force Base with the C-5 totally blew her mind and messed her up. And now she's this freakish fly girl that just loses her mind over airplanes. This month has been brutal that she hasn't been able to be part of the podcast, but she's given me the opportunity. So, Cindy, I got to do it this year. You better be healthy next year or I'll do it again. So anyway, her love of the Air Force began when she was living there next to Travis Air Force Base. She worked on submarines in her 20s as a ship fitter for the Navy. And then, of course, that was the same time that Top Gun came out, and that was it. F-14 Tomcats, Cindy Lee, game over, right? So if you want to book an aviation vacation or visit a museum about aviation, you can go to bucketlistcoachtravel.com. All right, so Dick Napinski with the EAA. Dick, I got to tell you, I saw one of the planes that I think you guys probably had a big part of, because when I found out what the EAA stands for, it made sense. What is the EAA all about, Dick?
Well, the EAA is the Experimental Aircraft Association. Thanks so much for having me on today, Robin. It's great to be here again. But EAA is all about people who love recreational flight in all of its forms.
That's what we're going to call it, recreational flight. Look, this is madness what some of these guys do, right? You got to admit it. These guys just love this so much that what I really thought of when I saw the plane we're going to talk about here in a minute, I really thought of a souped up F-150 on a backcountry road. Like, how much power can we put in it? How big of tires can we put on it? Let's go have some fun. That's what it seems like, right?
And that's what it is. It really started off as an organization almost 70 years ago for people who built and restored their own airplanes. But it's really grown to include everybody who loves the world of flight to be a part of it. I don't care if you fly ultralights, if you fly warbirds, home builds, vintage aircraft, if you're in the military, if you fly, an Airbus for a living, whatever you do, but you love the world of flight, EA's for you. And of course, most people know us for Oshkosh every July, where about 500,000 of our closest friends gather and about 10,000 airplanes get together. And we have a lot of fun with flight for an entire week, but that happens year round with EA members.
You said 10,000 airplanes?
Yeah, that's probably a conservative estimate. We get 10 to 12,000 that come to the region. We can park as many as 5,000 on the airport at any given time. And this past year, it was full. We were parking airplanes in places we'd never parked airplanes before. We had record attendance. After COVID, everybody wanted to get back out, and
Sure.
they came out with a vengeance this year. And it was just a great, great year. And I tell people we'll never get 7 days of perfect weather like that again. And it was beautiful. And we had just about one of everything. The Air Force came in with all of its commands. Of course, it was the 75th anniversary of the Air Force. So they said, what do you want? We said, well, bring one of everything, and we'll kind of sort it out from there. And they did a pretty good job of that, bringing almost one of everything. And so we had that throughout the entire week. Then the Navy heard about it, and they had to bring some airplanes in too, because, they can't let the Air Force have all the fun. And so between that and the air shows and everything else that showed up, it was a superb year.
That's great. That's exciting to see people that have such a passion for a common interest when they get to really all come together. And I was going to ask about the weather, but you put in there that you had 7 days. So it was the perfect storm of perfect weather, perfect everything else, right? Everybody had a great time and everything showed up and it all went off without a hitch. So that's great. That's a rare occasion, especially when you're talking about aviation and trying to bring these massive planes in. I think I saw a C5 in that clip. Is that something that you got at one of your shows?
We did. We had it this past summer, and we've had it a number of times here. C5s, C-17s have been here. Back when the Concorde was flying, it came to Oshkosh 5 times. We had the Airbus A380 here back in 2009. That came in. We'd like to say if it has flown, is flying, or will fly, it's going to show up at Oshkosh at some time or another.
Oshkosh. I feel like an insider now, because before I started doing this month with Cindy, I knew overalls, and the bagage part, but I didn't. Yep. I had no idea about the air show there. This is really kind of impressive. I'm very excited about it. So I got to stand guard on a C5 one time on a helicopter base. So I was a Huey and Cobra pilot, and we were going to transport a bunch of our aircraft over to Europe. And so when they flew that thing in, they landed it on the helicopter base. Now, why they didn't just fly it into Cherry Point and let us fly the helicopters to them, I don't know. But do you have any idea how hard it is to land a C5 on a helicopter runway?
But the C5 guys, those pilots will say, oh yeah, we can put it down there. I've talked to those guys. Yeah. And they say, sure.
They circled us when they came over the town of Jacksonville, North Carolina. It was like, what happened? It just got dark, right? Yeah. Literally, because they were moving so slow and it's so massive that when they dropped in, you thought they were going to go right into the trees, because they hit the edge of the runway on the way in. And when they came back, they backed up all the way till their tail was in the trees, because they didn't have enough runway. But boy, they fired that thing up to 110% and let the brakes go. And it's amazing how slow it seems to be moving when it starts gaining flight.
Yeah, and you're right.
Massive size of the wings, right? There's just so much space.
You see it and you go, well, that thing's not going to get off the ground.
How can it work?
It's one of those classic things that it's quintessentially American, that you can make a barn fly if you put enough big enough engine on it. And they do that with a C5 fully loaded. And it's just like, how does that get off the ground? But it does. And the guys flying it do a terrific job. Those men and women know what they're doing. And you put the flaps down, engines up, release the brakes, and go.
And it just almost seems like it's not even moving when it starts picking up off the ground. And we were fully loaded. I think we had 14 or 24 helicopters on that when that thing took off. It's so big inside. It's just cavernous. So we definitely put some weight on them, but they got off of there no problem. They didn't even use the whole runway on the way out. Actually, I was very impressed. So.
Yeah, they're proud of that too, when they don't use the whole thing. And they're up in the air, and they can,
they didn't even need all of it. No problem. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I guess when you see 6,000 foot-pounds of thrust on a Yak 110, anything's possible, right? So,
Well, you
anyway.
see all of that at Oshkosh. It really is the association of imagination and innovation, and what some people have done through the years and brought those aircraft to Oshkosh is truly amazing.
Wow. Well, Cindy's going to be responsible for me spending money to travel to Oshkosh this year, I think.
That's good. That's good.
What did you love? What was your best highlight of this year's show?
Oh man, the best highlight had to be, personally, was the return of the international visitors this year, because after COVID, no show in 2020, internationals couldn't make it in 2021. Having them come in and do that. But I tell you one thing that I always love, it's when the Air Force and the Navy get together with the heritage flight and legacy flight people. So suddenly during an air show, you might see an F-35 teamed with two P-51s and a P-38 doing a flyby. And you can imagine, the F-35 has every flap out, slowing it down as much as they can, and everybody else has it all the way to the wall, just trying to keep up. But gorgeous thing. And then they'll do the photo pass and things like that. So those are always some of my favorites each year. And then just some of the airplanes that come in that you might not expect to come in. Some of the vintage airplanes, somebody who's been working on a restoration of a 1920s biplane for 20 years, and they finally get to bring it to Oshkosh and show it off to their friends. And people, ooh and ah. There's a thing, an informal award we call the Brown Grass Award, which is the airplane that has the most brown grass around it from being stomped on as people go around the airplane all week and look at it. Those are the type of things that you see every year at Oshkosh. It's the family reunion for those of us who fly. And that's what makes it fun. You'd never quite know what's going to appear. What
was your attendance this year? Do you know?
Attendance was a record 650,000 over the 7 days. And
2/3 of 1 million people in 7 days?
In 7 days.
I think Oshkosh is overrun for a week, huh?
Well, Oshkosh is about 66,000 people year round. And the campground alone, our campground where people drive in or they camp next to their airplanes, that gets about 40,000 people. So we create the second biggest city in the county and put it next to the biggest city in the county for a week each year. And we do become an aviation city. And we become the world's busiest airport.
It's literally like Woodstock for aviation.
It is.
Yep. The groupies all come out of the woodwork and they come hang out and take over the town for a week. That's amazing. And I'm sure Oshkosh loves it, right? Because it brings in a ton of traffic, it brings in a ton of people and a ton of commerce. And so they probably don't mind too bad giving up their privacy for a week or so, huh?
That's one of the great things. I mean, if you live in the Oshkosh area, as I do, you go other places, and I'll be wearing my EA polo shirt or something like that, and they'll say, "Oh, you know EA?" I go, "Yeah." "Have you ever been to Oshkosh?" "Yeah, once or twice I've been there." And so, it's one of those things. And if you go to any airport in the world and say the word Oshkosh, the pilots know exactly what you're talking about.
They perk up.
And that's just it. And either they've been there or their friends have been there, and they talk about their experiences there. And it's always so much fun to talk to the international visitors who have been here. I had an Australian gentleman tell me one time, "You've got more bloody airplanes here than we have in the whole bloody country." And I looked around and went, "Yep, you're right.
Yep,
we do."
You're right.
Yep.
That's beautiful. That's great. That sounds pretty massive. And guys are always about size. So that's 650,000 people in 7 days. That is unbelievably impressive. I just can't even imagine the storekeepers and the small business owners in the community, how they kind of probably wait and count on the air show to bring in a huge amount of their yearly revenue. As a small business owner, I know having an increase of that number of people for 7 days, I would be banking everything on making sure I served their needs to the maximum that I could, right? So,
it really is. The bars and restaurants, and even people. A couple of years ago, we had a storm come through, and the carpet store across the street from the airport completely sold out of carpet backing and wrapping blankets, because people were protecting their airplanes, the cloth covered airplanes. They were running in, buying all the carpet backing they could and wrapping it around the wings and their elevators. And so they could protect the airplane overnight. And, things like that occur. And we've got more than 300, 400 people who rent out their homes so people can stay here because all the hotels are full. We use the university dormitories, and it is an incredible experience. And we have to give credit to the more than 5,000 volunteers that we have that run entire areas on the field, and we couldn't do it without them. And they come from all over the world, and a lot of them take their vacation time to stand out in a field and eat dust all week and park airplanes.
Wow. That's some love. And I do understand that. I did get a taste of that when I was in the Marine Corps and around the aviation thing. There's a camaraderie, there's a family feel, there's a shared experience that kind of, supersedes all the other differences we may have when we come together for that same common goal and common shared interest. It really, it gives you some faith in humanity to see people just all working together toward a common goal, right? So,
it really is, and you make a great point there, Robin, because in the campground, for instance, you can have the CEO of a Fortune 500 corporation staying next to a machinist or a plumber, and they don't know what each other does, nor do they care, especially because they're there for the airplanes, and they start talking
know if
about
they got
airplanes.
A cold beer. You got another one?
Exactly. You got another one of that. And
all
hey,
matters.
did you see that Piper Cub over there? And was that a nice one? Oh, that's a beautiful one. But let me tell you about the thing that I saw today. And that's the way it starts. And I've met more friends here that just you start a conversation, and then you meet each year, and you pick up the conversation exactly where you left it off the previous July. And that's a great thing.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Well, my mom was born and raised in Wisconsin, so that'll give me an excuse to have to come up that way. What time did you say it is this year? When's the big show this year? July?
Coming up July 24th through the 30th. And we're going to start selling tickets probably in a couple weeks here online. So everybody go to ea.org, keep an eye out for it, and we'll have those advance tickets for sale certainly by the end of the year.
I won't need a ticket because Dick's getting me in backstage, and I'm hanging out at his house, and he's taking me to all the best bars and restaurants, right? So.
Oh, we have several. It's Wisconsin. And
very good. Very good. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So, Dick, I got to know if you can give us a little peek into 2023 besides the big air show in July. What else you got going on?
Oh, we've got a lot of things going on. We've got our year-round museum here, and if you've never been to the EA Museum, more than 100 aircraft on display, including a couple very interesting ones. I know we were talking before the show here. We have a Vietnam veteran Huey helicopter from the Vikings unit. It served 3 tours in Vietnam. It wasn't one of those that was pushed off the aircraft carrier coming back, and it made it all the way back, made it through salvage, and somehow wasn't chopped up. And a man bought it in Arizona and eventually donated it to us. And we did an external restoration, left the interior just as it was. It has not been touched since it came back from Vietnam in the early 1970s. And so that's on display there. Another airplane we have on display is a Corsair. Of course, the movie Devotion just came out at the end of November, talking about Thomas Hudner and Jesse Brown, the first black naval aviator, and their exploits. After that, Thomas Hudner, after he received the Medal of Honor, went back into service, was deployed to the Mediterranean. We have a Corsair that he flew, and the logbooks actually confirmed that from both the family and the aircraft logbooks, confirmed that he flew this aircraft. And so we have an exhibit around it honoring him, honoring Jesse Brown as the first black naval aviator. And we had both Thomas Hudner's son and Jesse Brown's grandson here in April for the dedication of that exhibit. And it's very powerful stuff. And so we invite people to come out here year round to look at our museum, have part of it. During the summer, Pioneer Airport.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Hang on.
Okay, yeah.
I want to segue from the talking about the movie Devotion, because we're going to go ahead and show the trailer for that movie, if that's all right with you.
Oh, by all means.
Let's pop in right here. Cindy, you want to go ahead and show that trailer for Devotion?
Ready, set, hit!
You're the only person I ever met who belonged in the sky. Just remember you belong down here with us too, okay?
The commanding officer called you one of the best pilots he's ever seen. It must be hard being the
a naval aviator? Absolutely.
whole world's looking different.
Did you ever think that you'd be in a squadron with a colored aviator?
Lieutenant Tom Hudner.
Jesse Brown. It's good to meet you.
We're taking a slight detour on the way home.
Say again? What are you gonna find out about your wingman cruising at 10,000 feet, Lieutenant? Put him in a little bit of trouble. Who knows? We might get a peek at who he really is.
The North Koreans came pouring over the 38th parallel.
Our guys need help, and we're up.
We knew this day might come.
Yet it doesn't make it any easier.
The most important thing is this. We bring everyone home.
Mistakes get us killed.
Can't tell you how many times people have told me to give up, quit, die even. That's why you can't always do what you're told.
It's a mag!
If I did, I wouldn't be here.
What do you want me to do?
Just be my wingman.
Red fire, Jesse!
The real battle in all of life is being someone that people can count on.
Show off. That was pretty good.
It's good.
Wow. That looks incredible. That is amazing. I will have to go and see that now. So, wow, incredible. So I cut you off a little bit there because I wanted to get into the video clip, but we were talking about upcoming events and things you had going on at the airport there in Oshkosh.
Indeed. Well, first of all, some of my colleagues have already seen the movie, say, you've got to go see Devotion.
Good.
and just, and fine, we're airplane geeks. We're going to love the flying sequences, but still, they said the story is really, really good and well worth your time and money. But, talking about the museum, we talked about the Corsair, we talked about the Huey, but we've got Pioneer Airport that's open May through September, and it's a recreation of a 1920s aerodrome, complete with the opportunity to fly an open cockpit biplane, one of our two that we have right here on the grounds, so you can get the wind in your hair, the bugs in your teeth, everything else. And it's probably the ultimate interactive museum experience. Virtual reality, nothing. This is real reality. And you can go up in that open cockpit biplane. And now we've got our airplanes that are going out on national tour, everything from a B-25 bomber that will start up in May and June on its national tour. We've got a Ford Trimotor, the height of airline luxury in 1929. Yep. You can get a ticket and fly on that as well. So that'll be going out throughout the Midwest and the East Coast this coming year. So we've got a lot of things going on based in Oshkosh and taking it out to people all over the country.
So when you say take a biplane ride, so those are like package deals I can purchase and come and do the museum experience and have the flight and everything. That's all included.
Exactly right. You come to the museum, head over to Pioneer Airport. You've got some paperwork to sign, of course, but then sure. we put you in the biplane and off you go. And it's open cockpit. It is just like the Barnstormers flew in the 1920s and early 30s, and give you that experience. A lot of people think of aviation, if they're not pilots, they think of aviation as you stand in the TSA line, you go through the checkpoint, you get the bag of pretzels on the airliner, and you hope your luggage ends up in the same place you do. Right. But we want to give people that experience of what aviation is like, who those of us who fly, what it really means, what right. that sensation is like to go up there and see the world from a different perspective. And we can do that at the museum on our air tours, and certainly during Air Venture Week as well in July.
Wow. Yeah, I pulled up your website. I wanted to give a little quick look over at it, and it looks more like not to take away from it, but it looks very attractive. It looks like an amusement park almost of an experience with all the things you have and the special events and attractions and stuff. So that's great. I'm really excited and honored that I got to talk to you today and learn more about how we're keeping aviation alive. And Cindy, I hate you've ruined me because you've sparked this bug back in me that, I kind of thought I put away 35 years ago and said, I'm going to go be a computer guy now, but dang it, this is some interesting stuff. And some of the guests I've been able and honored to speak with and interview this month have been incredible. And you're not anywhere near the bottom of that list, Dick. This is a great experience. Exciting to meet you and learn about what you're doing up there in Oshkosh. And I'm realizing there's a lot of this country I don't know about, and certainly a whole bunch of aviation stuff that I need to plug back into and find out about more. So you told us about the museum and everything. Do you have anything else, anybody else you want to shout out before we close this out today, Dick?
Well, shout out as always to all our volunteers, whether they come during AirVenture Week, if they're in one of our 900 chapters, flying young eagles throughout the year, introducing kids to the world of flight, all of those people who work so hard in our chapters, and 900 of them throughout the country. It really is something. It is a family. It's an aviation family, and I know that gets overused and becomes cliche sometime, but if you go someplace and you start talking about airplanes with somebody, well, you've got a kindred spirit, and pretty soon you've got a friend. And that's something that I always look forward to when I'm traveling through the country, and always look forward to the country and the world coming to Oshkosh. And we can do that every summer once again.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, that's very cool. And I just, again, want to say, I really appreciate what you're doing there, because this is really great stuff. I get a private tour of the USS Midway when I get out to San Diego, because I spoke with, Chappie, one of Cindy's friends that is one of the docents on the ship. And he said, come out and watch the Top Gun movie right on the deck with us, and we'll give you a behind the scenes tour. And I thought, well, it's amazing. But what you guys are doing and how you're keeping all of this history alive and devoting so much of your time and energy and resources to it, it's really impressive. And I'm honored to know you guys, and proud to be able to say that I got to talk to you and meet you guys. So thank you very much for all you're doing to continue this history and keep this alive.
Well, my pleasure. And we'll see you in Oshkosh next summer. How about that, Robin?
You know what? I have a feeling that may be happening, Dick. So.
Okay.
All right, Cindy, you pop back in here. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Oh, yes. I want Dick to talk about the membership with EAA.
Oh, yeah. We'd love to have you as a member. Anybody who's watching the podcast and the webcast, $48 a year, just $4 a month, which means, fine, you can't buy a good cup of coffee these days for $4. But here, $48 a year. We've got a monthly magazine comes your way. You get discounts to come to AirVenture. The museum is yours. If you're an EA member, admission is free anytime during the year. Come on in. We've got lots of special events, special offerings. And we're celebrating our 70th anniversary as an organization in January. It's our 70th fly-in this summer, so it's going to be a big one. So we're looking forward to it. We'd love to have you as EA members and join just 270,000 of your fellow family members right here in the organization.
Very cool.
So let's do a recap of what we talked about today.
All right. You're going to jump on the list? Or you want me to jump on it? We put
Dick
on it.
The most amazing air show that you need to be a part of to add to your aviation bucket list: 7 days of plane porn bliss. So tell my audience all about that real quickly, and then we'll head back.
Okay, EA AirVenture, it's the world's largest fly-in. We become the world's largest and busiest airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin for 7 days. Everything that flies, smallest ultralight up to airliners and C5s and everything in between. And if it has flown, is flying, will flying, it'll show up in Oshkosh at some time. And so we invite people to come out and join us. And if you have an airplane, bring it on out. Be one of the 10,000 plus airplanes that make it out to Oshkosh each year, and join us in Aviation's family reunion.
And we also have an author's corner as well, right?
Our authors, we get more than 20 authors of aviation books, well-known personal stories, all of those. They are there. They'll sign your books. You can meet a World War II ace. You can meet a Vietnam era ace. You can meet airline pilots, people who have flown cross-country, people who have invented things. They're all there with their books, and you can meet them and shake their hands.
Yeah, and a big plug, actually, to David Baronic. Yeah, he was just here this year, right?
He was, and he was one of many. Yep, and would love to have him back again, along with others.
Very cool.
So anything you'd like to add? One thing we talked about with Jeff, and I think that's super important that I want to start talking about more, talk about the importance of the maintainer.
Well, the maintainer, we talk about the airline pilot shortage and the pilot shortage out there. The maintainer is so important, whether it's an A&P or an inspection authorization person, those people who maintain the aircraft, whether it's a military aircraft, an air show aircraft, those people working at the FBOs at the airports who do the annual inspections that keep the airplanes safe. They're so important, and there's a need for them. A lot of us are getting up there in years and we're going to retire soon. And although we love aviation, we need that new generation coming up. And a big part of what we're doing right now through our education programs are getting people involved as pilots, as possible maintainers, all of those people who are so important to keep them flying regardless of what the aircraft is. And EA is about that as well. And we love people who want to help us make that happen.
Awesome.
Anything else you'd like to add for people to add this to their 2023 bucket list and why they need to come to Oshkosh?
Well, you'll have an experience there. You will see a collection of people and airplanes at AirVenture that you will see no place else in the world. It's that simple. It's all in one place. You can spin around on Boeing Plaza and say, boy, I never thought I'd see that. And then you see three of them. It's one of those type of things. And so, and then being involved with the organization, you can get involved in aviation in your hometowns and the local chapters and get the youth inspired from your local schools, from your local youth clubs, the scout troops, everybody else. And that's an important part of it too, because that one-to-one mentorship becomes so important to get kids enthused and break down those fences around the airport, bring them in, have them learn about the glory of aviation, the fun of aviation, and the possibilities within aviation that are there for them and their future.
Right. Yeah. A huge piece of it is the retiring of the gentlemen like ourselves that are in the field and been in the field. And we're just getting, time for us to go hang out at Oshkosh and not. So like our community, we built a regional airport that was going to become commercial, never did. And our local technical college system just decided to open an aviation academy. So we're going to have a state-of-the-art 600,000 square foot aviation academy at our airport, which is 25 miles down the road from Atlanta Hartsfield. So to give these kids a chance, get them started. We also are opening our Civil Air Patrol back up, and we will have a Civil Air Patrol chapter there and get kids up in the air. So we have the Flying Tigers here, and they help run it for us and keep it going. So we're very, very excited to have that going on. And this Aviation Academy is going to be a huge bonus to these kids and their opportunities in the future.
And that's so big. There are a lot of great EA chapters there in the Georgia area too. Any place from Lawrenceville to Gwinnett County, throughout all the way down to St. Simon's Island. All of those places have those local enthusiasts with aviation that if you're in Georgia or any state you're in, they're out there. And so if you've got a hankering for aviation and you want to put that on your bucket list, here's the opportunity to do it. You can do it right in your hometown or home region and just get connected with the EA chapter there.
Very cool. Very cool. Cindy, you want to finish this up?
Yeah, you could close.
All right. Well, just so you do know, we have EAA chapter 268 at the Paulding Northwest Airport. So we already have one at the airport. I didn't know it until I just Googled it, and there it is. So we do have a chapter right here in my town at that airport I was just telling you about. So thanks for bringing it to my attention, Dick. Now I'm going to have to go out and get involved.
There you go. I'm happy to have you.
$48, man. I'm joining. All right. So, Dick, we're going to send you over to the green room. Hang out with us for a minute. I'm going to wrap this thing up. And I really appreciate you coming. It was great meeting you and talking to you, sir.
My pleasure. Likewise. And have a great holiday season.
You too, sir. Take care. All right, folks. That's the end of another amazing Bucket List web show. I mean, this is unbelievable. Web Coach. This is crazy that I've met the people that I've met this last month. And I'm very, very grateful to Cindy for allowing me to do that. Everyone that watched today and everybody that's watched this month, thank you so much for your devotion and for your time. I hope you got something out of it, made your life a little bit better. Make sure to subscribe to Cindy's Bucket List Coach Web Show live YouTube channel, and she will send you a free ebook for how you can create your very own bucket list. All right. So next week, barring any more massive hacking spells, you're going to see Cindy back on the 8th doing a special podcast with a National Day calendar celebrating National Brownie Day. All right, folks, that's the end of this show. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Robin Stern. I am your Google guru. I'd love for you to go out there, have an amazing rest of your day, change the world, know that you're loved, and make a difference. We're out. Take care.